Hi, it's Sue from Aging Joyfully. Steve is sleeping right now, so I thought I'd make a video without him. I was talking to an old friend of ours. We've been friends with this person for 30 years. And I told her, my life did not turn out the way I thought it would. And she said, Sue, I don't think anybody's life turns out the way they planned it to. I thought growing up, we were all told the same script. To go to college, graduate, get a job, find a husband. And that wasn't directly told, but implied. You'll marry a man who has a college degree. You'll have children, perhaps stay home to raise those children, go back to work when the children are grown. And then you will both ease into this wonderful, glorious retirement together, secure, be able to travel and do anything you want while visiting with your grandchildren at a moment's whim, right? That's the picture they painted for us. That's not reality. Most people can't even afford to retire. There is video after video after video out there showing 80-year-olds working. There was one particular video that's all over Reddit, YouTube, TikTok, all social media, showing an 88-year-old man working in a store. I think we don't have that store here. I think it's something like Meijer or something like that. It's a retail store where he's working as a clerk 40 hours a week at 88 because he said he retired in 1999 from GM. And in 2012, GM took his pension back and his health insurance, and his wife was dying at that point. He had to sell his house and land to be able to live, and then his wife died 7 years ago. At some point, he went back to work, and he's been working 40 hours a week since. The rumor is that the TikTok or YouTube creator, who I think was from Australia, I think this creator is from Australia. He did a GoFundMe and raised $1 million for this man to retire. That's great, isn't it? My first thought was the man is probably going to pass away because working and interacting with people has helped to keep him alive. Yeah, he's sad and anxious and depressed because his money's tight, but interacting with people every day helped him. He said he goes to the cemetery every day to visit his wife. And I had two thoughts on that. That's great that that's what he wants to do, but I don't want Steve to come to the cemetery. First of all, I'm not going to be in a cemetery. We're being cremated, and I have my urn. We bought these beautiful boxes and I did a video on that, I think a year ago or so. And we hid that will be on our kids' bookshelf. But really, we want our ashes spread over some beautiful location, different locations. I want the Smoky Mountains, and Steve wants the mountains in Tucson, which I think it's Mount Lemmon. I've never really been there, so I don't know. But the Smoky Mountains we've traveled to as a family and as a couple, and we love the Smoky Mountains. So that's where I want to be spread. And I just want my kids to think of me as they see beauty in nature and as they help people. I want them to remember me. I don't want them to go to a cemetery and be sad. I mean, I know our kids would not go. I rarely go to see my parents. They're not here in Atlanta, and it is difficult, but also for me it is very challenging. I was close to my parents, and it is very depressing and sad. And they never took us to see our grandparents. I never knew my grandparents. They never took us to see where they were buried, so I don't even know where my grandparents are buried. So I think because they didn't establish that routine, we never did that, visiting cemeteries, which is probably good. There was 8 kids in our family. It would have been pretty challenging to get 8 kids together, go to a cemetery, and then you're there a couple minutes. I don't know. But anyway, back to life. Is your life turning out how you had thought when you were young, when you were in high school or college and thought about the future? Is your life what you thought it would be? I thought I would go back to work after our kids had grown. I gave up my career because Steve was relocated several times. I think we moved around 15 times. It was pretty challenging to have any job, constantly moving. I mean, we never had to pack up the house, but I did have to unpack with every move. Unpack, get the kids in school, make sure they're doing okay, talk to the school about their stress, visit the school, see them at lunch, volunteer at the school, get to know the neighbors, bring over their friends. It was a full-time job for me as well. I know women at home never get any credit. People say, why don't you work? Why don't you work? Today, I do feel guilty because I did work until the pandemic came along. I was a substitute teacher doing quite a few long-term subs because I did go back to become a certified teacher. But it was during the Great Recession and they weren't hiring. They were laying off. After you haven't been hired in so many years, people look at you as your damaged goods. Plus, I was older. And I learned after so many years of working in schools that most of the principals hired people from their church. The first biggest religion in the Bible Belt is Baptist. The next is Methodist, Presbyterian, Protestants. So because I am not Baptist and didn't go to church with the principal, it was very challenging to find a position. So I did quite a few long-term sub jobs, which is, again, it's just as harder than being the teacher because you come in the middle of the year, have to get up to speed. Okay, so I thought I would be able to get a permanent position after the kids grew up. Found out I didn't. I thought our kids would get married after college, have 2 kids apiece, and love to come and visit us with their family for the holidays. They don't have 2 kids each. Holidays don't seem to have the tradition that they had when we were growing up. We would have my 7 siblings and me and my mother's 8 children, aunts, uncles, cousins. We had a house full every Thanksgiving, and then we'd go to my aunt's house for Christmas. So holidays were very special. They were very special with so many children. Today, most people have 0 kids or 1 kid, which I'm not blaming them. Not blaming them at all. The cost of having a child plus the risk, especially in Georgia, where we have one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the country. I'm not blaming my kids for not having the 2 kids I wanted them to have. I'm just saying these are the scripts that we were told growing up. Our life was gonna be like once we became older. It was just told to us, you will go to college, you will have a good career, and you will retire with a pension. Well, most jobs didn't have pensions when we started working. Retirement is hard. It's hard for anybody today. Even if you have a pension, like that man, that 88-year-old man said he lost his pension. We see that over and over again with airlines and corporations where people lose their pensions. So, what do you do when life did not turn out like you thought? You're totally lost. How do you go on? What decisions do you make? Well, it can be better than you thought. I never in a million years would ever think that I would have a YouTube channel. I tend to be an introvert and don't typically tell strangers my entire life story. So for me to do this, I never saw this. Of course, YouTube wasn't around growing up, but even then, I never ever imagined doing this. We originally started it for our grandson, so he would be able to see us once we're gone. Steve was really the one who pushed more to start it, and as you see, he's not here. But he's here when he can be, and we enjoy it. It gives us a hobby that's free and together. One day we hope that perhaps it could supplement our retirement, as retirement is so challenging. Steve lost his job after the BBB was passed in July. He found a job 2 months later. Fortunately, we really need health insurance for me. He's old enough to get on Medicare, but for me to get health insurance, he has to get health insurance through the company. So he is working for me to have health insurance, and I am so grateful. I know most people will say, why don't you go get your own health insurance? I have looked and looked for the last 10, 15 years, and none of the jobs I ever got came with health insurance. So I can work, but they're very low wage jobs. But that's beside the point. That's beside the point. At this point in our lives, we thought we would be traveling, be retired, enjoying our grandchildren, not worrying about money, not worrying about can we afford to go to the doctor. We rarely go to the doctor. We switched doctors about a year or two ago, and she's actually, I think she's a physician's assistant, and she likes to run tests. If you just say anything, she'll run tests. She gave me an anxiety pill, and I don't like to take those. And honestly, I honestly believe she was getting a cruise on it, because she was like, "Oh, will you try this pill?" It was like, I don't even remember. It was like gabapentin. I don't know. I'll have to put it on the screen because I never remember names. But she was like, not like herself. She was real giddy and happy, like, "Oh, will you take this?" And I was like, why is she so happy? I got the impression she was getting something out of giving me this pill. Well, I got severe pains in my leg that I could not even walk. It was painful to walk. So I went back in to see her, and she didn't even look at it, did not even look at my leg, and sent me instantly for a ultrasound to see if I had blood clot. And I'm like, I know I don't have a blood clot, but she wouldn't do anything else before she insisted I do this ultrasound, which was hundreds of dollars. Well, blood clots usually feel warm, they're hard. If she looked at it, she would know. I quit taking the pill, had the ultrasound, and the lady giving it to me said, pretty much told me I was crazy. The location, she said, you don't get blood clots there on your leg. So you would know that's not a blood clot. And I'm thinking again, why did she send me without even looking at it? Did she get a kickback on the ultrasound? I don't know. I just know that I don't go at all now because I can't afford to do these tests. She just wants tests. If you say anything, she sends you in for some. She wanted me to have a colonoscopy when I just had one. I just had one a year and a half ago. And she wanted me to have another one. I said, no. Listen to me. You know, that's the one thing when they only have 5 minutes to spend with you. So I don't go in at all, and I just think, okay, if it's really bad, it's going to continue for days or weeks, and then I'll go in. But I'm not going in because I know, like I fell a few months ago when it was a combination of things that caused the fall. I was in the old part of the neighborhood to the new part, and the old part doesn't have sidewalks and the new part does. So I tripped on a curbing that just pops up. But also Sammy was there, and she helped me to trip, our little Papillon dog. So I didn't go in. I got a big black eye and cut my face over here. And later, within the week, my leg had a shooting pain, and I don't know if I pulled something, but I didn't go in. And falls are serious. They say most people don't go in. Well, when you have to think about your insurance, this isn't what I thought when we got older, that we'd have to consider. I mean, I know our whole life we rarely went to the doctor because it was expensive. It's always been expensive. It's just gotten more expensive. It's not that the problem hasn't always been here. It's just that the problem's gotten quite a bit worse. So we always watched our doctor's visits. So anyway, moving on. What else can you do? Well, I was making cards of compassion for people who are either home alone or sick or even having a birthday. I made these beautiful cards with Sammy. I'm going to put some in here. They're just so beautiful. They're very time consuming, but they were beautiful. Well, the person in charge of this nonprofit company, she has a lot of health problems herself, and she's not doing it anymore, which was sad to learn because I decided I've been looking for volunteer opportunities, and this was a great one because you could do it from home, you could do it at your own pace. I just had to pay for the supplies and mail them to her. Well, now that she's trying to find somebody to take over the nonprofit, so it may continue. But in the meantime, I found a new group, and it is Color a Smile. I just Googled some things, and this one came up. This one, it's for older people who don't have grandchildren. Again, like we thought we'd have more. And you would have your grandchildren's artwork on your refrigerator. So this is, you have to print their pictures. I printed this one. It says, enjoy today, and color it in. And then you put your name. I put Susie Q just to be fun. And it's really intended, you can do kids or adults. So when people come to our house, I'm going to have them color a picture, which will be kind of a fun activity. Coloring is supposed to reduce your stress, and it's just a fun thing to do. I have so many markers and crayons. So let me show you some of the other pictures. I did this one myself, and then these are not done. So these are some of the options. You go on their just Color a Smile website, print the pictures, color them, and then mail them in. And it is in New Jersey. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to color some of these, get people to color them, and I'm going to mail them in and see how this goes. Well, I'm waiting to see if Cards of Compassion comes back. But I just love to do something. I love to feel involved. It makes me feel connected to other people in this country. It makes me feel like I'm making a difference. That's the biggest thing, is making a difference in this world, right? So other things that I'm doing, I try to exercise every day. Well, I make sure I get at least 10,000 steps and 30 plus minutes of exercise time. I have a trampoline that I love that helps with quite a few conditions, or helps avoid you getting them or improves them, such as your lymphatic system, your anxiety, just a number of things. It helps your bones, it helps you with balancing. So I have a trampoline I jump on. I march in place. I watch a lot of videos, and they said marching is good. I've never done that before, but marching, that's not just walking, but actually marching. I do improved health videos. So I do, and then I do walk in the neighborhood, and what's weird is it was so hot. It was hard to walk, and then it just turned from extremely hot to extremely cold. It was like no in between. It was hot and then cold and wet. So it's been rainy and cold. So we didn't have any of that nice in-between weather. It just seemed like it abruptly went from hot to cold. So it's been hard to walk in the neighborhood, and Sammy's been upset about that. And then we also have our senior border collie, Sierra, who loves to walk. She actually walks much better than Sammy. But like I said, it's been raining and cold, so I'm not walking a lot. So I do make a point to get exercise at home. That's very important, to get in that exercise to help with your mood, with your heart, with whatever conditions. But do talk to your doctor before you do any exercise, any new exercise, as it can be dangerous. So you don't want to do anything without talking to your healthcare provider. So I talk to friends. I don't see them a lot. It's funny, the last few days I've been talking to my friends, and they've all been going to the doctor, to the dentist and the eye doctor. And I was like, yeah, our biggest, and we had just gone to the dentist and the eye doctor too, because my crown fell out. That as you get older, you have all these things happen. And I got new contacts. I switched from, I had a reading lens and a distance lens, and I switched to 2 distance lenses because nothing was really precise. With the reading lens and the distance lens, she said you had to give up something, either the distance or the reading. So it was never good. With these, everything is so clear for distance, but then I do have to wear readers, which I had to order some because Steve's readers are too strong for me, and they gave me a really bad headache. Steve had cataract surgery, so he just has to have readers now, which is really, really nice. As you age, you don't think about all the health problems you're going to have. My mother was sick for about the last 7 years of her life, so her life did not end up being what she thought it would be. I see just in videos and with people I know, it always seems like one of the 2 people in a marriage is sick. So most people are not able to travel. I mean, some people are traveling, but I've been noticing that one of the two is always sick. And so, like, you're not able to travel. Like our neighbors here, our neighbor's 92 and his wife is maybe 90. She's very sick and we never see her. He's out cutting the grass and he's out and about. And he told me, one day he said, first thing I wake up and I drink a pint of water. And I was thinking, wow, did they talk in terms of pints back then? Nobody ever says a pint. I mean, milk at school is a half a pint. But most people would say I drink a glass of water or 2 glasses. So I believe a pint is 2 glasses because half a pint is 1. But nobody talks in terms of pints. So he said, before you do anything, you need to drink a pint of water. Maybe it was half a pint. I don't really remember. I remember the word pint. And he's out, and he said his wife always tells him, don't go out, you're going to kill yourself. He said, no, going out is what's keeping me alive. Going out and working in the yard is what's keeping me alive. And that's the truth. You're getting sunshine and exercise, and he doesn't really talk to a lot of people. Every time he sees me, and he's our next door neighbor, he asks me if I live around here. So that's a little concerning. Every single time he sees me, he asks me that same question. But he is 92 now. He's still living home with his wife alone with no help. And she's very, very sick. So that is amazing that they are living alone at 92, and I think she's 91. So he also retired from GM, and I'm wondering, after I saw the video on the man who lost his pension, I'm thinking, did he lose his pension? Because I think after he retired from GM, I think he got another job for 20 or 30 years. And I don't know if he got a pension from that job because I don't know where he retired from the second time. And he also was in the military, like this other man in the video. But did his life turn out how he thought it would? I mean, I don't know. Most people probably think they're just grateful to be able to pay their bills, to eat, and keep their house. I don't know. What are people's goals when they retire? What do they expect in their life? How do they want it to turn out? I know our kids say all the time that the dream is gone for them, that they don't know that they'll ever be able to retire because Social Security will be gone, and if pensions collapse or they don't have a pension, our daughter doesn't have one. Our son has one, but I mean, it may be collapsed. So many companies, when they lay off, people lose so much of their pension. They may get a very, very, very small pension if you've been there 5 or 10 or 15 years. But you lose the bulk of it by leaving early when you're being laid off. All of these corporations are laying off by the thousands, so that affects pensions and health insurance. If there are even pensions, most companies don't even have pensions today. So on one hand, I think I should just be grateful for what we have, right? I don't have to work now. I may have to go back to work one day. We have a roof over our heads and food. And we don't travel much. We don't go out much. We do a lot of free things. There's passes at the library and there's free hiking all over. We do what we can do. I keep in touch with people through text and email and calling. But we don't see a lot of people because we have moved so much, you know. And I do send letters. I think people might still like getting letters, even though it's so much slower. I know I always enjoy getting a good letter or a card in the mail. For Christmas, I just paid to have our grandson receive highlights. As a child, we used to get highlights in the mail, and we were so excited to get the mail and get that highlights and read it that I got him a subscription. And I hope he's excited. I know this is a whole new generation, and they don't get thrilled about the mail because they're learning video games and their phones and all that. And I hope he gets excited about getting his highlights every month. I hope that he will enjoy it. So you write in the comments below, did your life turn out how you thought it would? And if not, what are you doing? I mean, we're still trying to stay positive, doing hobbies and activities. Sammy is a big, big hobby, taking her picture, making the cards, walking her, brushing her. She needs a bath right now. She wanted to be in this video today. I was like, you need a bath. But I don't want to give her one because it's so cold and damp. And she has a lot of fur, and I'm afraid it'll take a while to dry. So I didn't want to give her one when it was cold. So she looks a little dirty right now. But she loves attention. She loves being in the videos. Sierra doesn't want it to be anywhere near. She doesn't even want her picture taken. But tell me what you're doing, what you're doing with your life and how it's going. If your life turned out how you thought it would, and if it didn't, what are you doing about it? Until I see you again, hey, check out some of our other videos. I realize we have over 900. I think I'm going to start deleting some of the earlier ones. I think I was doing shorts every day for a while, and then I switched back to longer videos, but it's unreal. I know we have too many. We have too many videos and shorts out there, and I'm going to delete some of them. But check them out. I'll put some in the description. Until I see you again, take it easy.